Hello, everybody. First, is this thing working? I don't want to say hello, everybody, if this thing isn't working. But this thing should be working. This is a test stream because we're testing out a few things that are pretty cool. Like, mainly the main feature is going to be automated severe warnings. Like, here we go. There's a test. The sad thing is I have to actually click on it. I have to actually hold it down and click on it. But, like, we have the National Weather Service in ILM. I don't really know what that is, but in North Carolina, there's an observed flash flood warning for Bladen, Robinson, North Carolina. That is that. This storm near Goodland is a pretty strong one, 70-mile-an-hour winds. We actually did record an 88-mile-per-hour wind gust, so I would not be surprised if it continues to grow in winds, which it should, because if you see this right here, we kind of have an outflow boundary. And this outflow boundary is starting to go in front. It's starting to pull in front of the storm. That should make this storm. That should make the tornado threat very low. Which this supercell a few minutes ago, if you look at it, it was attached to that boundary before, and it had a really good hook. It probably had. It may have dropped the tornado. It may have dropped the tornado a while ago. But now, thankfully, it kind of became, when the outflow pushed out in front of the storm, that hook, it kind of still is there, barely. It kind of barely is there, but it's kind of dissolving. And this outflow boundary is pushing out, which should make this tornado threat near zero for this storm, because it's going to be mainly wind and hail dominant. I say hail because look at the hail on this thing. Everything in this light pink, this light purple, and darker indicates hail. And if we make the radar a little bit ugly, we can kind of see it a bit better where our heaviest hail is. And if we go back, we can just see the huge hail core. This thing still has a pretty good hail core. I think it's just because I have to stop swiping up on those if I'm doing these streams. This thing still has a good hail core. I mean, once again, it extends everywhere to not this shade of pink, but this shade of pink and darker is where that hail is, and we can see definitely the core. We still have somewhat of a hook. It may try to form another hook again, but once again, this outflow boundary is somewhere right here, and if we want to put a tornado on the ground, the hook has to be somewhere right here, and it has to be out in front of it. So mainly wind dominant. Once again, not seeing any rotation. We did have an 88-mile-an-hour gust. Now we're just recording up to 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is definitely 70. I would not be surprised if they probably should have put a destructive warning. I would not be surprised after the radar site, when we have a better view, if there is a destructive warning, if this outflow boundary keeps going. Okay, here's an update to that warning. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning. We have a PDS severe thunderstorm warning. It means that it's a considerable, particularly dangerous situation. 70-mile-an-hour winds. The hail, that's a lot of hail. That's a 2 inches and 50 inches, 2 and 50 inches of diameter hail, 2.50 inches diameter hail. That is a huge hailstone. Not huge, but it's a pretty big hailstone for Sherman, Kansas, from Goodland radar. If you live near Goodland, southeast of Goodland, near, I think that's Sherman County, in Kansas, and this observed hail. So just think about it. Think about, once again, you're getting heavy rain, a bad storm with 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, pushing on knocking down power lines. But also think about this: you have 2.5 inches in diameter hail that are being flung on the ground at your window by 70-mile-an-hour winds. So this is why we have a PDS warning. But once again, before we did have a we did have I'm going to have to find it. Yeah, it was right here. We had an 88, we had almost a 90 mile, basically a 90 mile an hour gust. So that is technically, destructive winds, but it probably didn't last long enough to be considered. So it probably is the thing is we're seeing these winds go down because we're getting close to the radar, but this is probably still a destructive storm. It's a PDS considerable storm with tennis ball sized hail. So imagine heavy rain, the storm blowing in, going in, and just imagine this winds blowing at 70 mile per hour gusts. So imagine what 70 mile an hour gusts can do. Basically EF0 type damage. So knock down trees, limbs, power lines. And imagine tennis ball sized hail being flung at the ground or at your house or at your window, at trees or at any kind of property with 70 miles per hour. We have a new warning for quarter size hail and 60 mile an hour winds. This should remain outflow dominant. But we do see maybe a little bit of a hook. Yeah, this should remain outflow dominant since this is outside the outflow. So it should remain. Yeah, there's no rotation with it. Everything right here is just contamination. So because it's very clear. But this is the test stream. We're testing out the the warning systems. Yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, at least if there is going to be a hook, it'd be somewhere right here, but it's still behind the outflow boundary. So it should not, by no means, should produce a tornado. So tornado-wise, out in front of the storm, Goodland and southeast of Goodland, you're fine. The only bad thing I don't like about these alerts is that I have to click on it to show the area. But LBF, which is a radar site near in Nebraska, that severe thunderstorm warning for Arthur, Garden, Grant, McPherson. So if you live in Arthur, Garden, Grant, and McPherson, Nebraska, that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. And also, here's another thing I like to do. And there's going to be more of these, but we are getting reports. So in North Carolina, we have a 911 call center reports of some flash flooding. Several roads closed in Hope Mills due to flooding. This is in North Carolina. Then I wish I didn't have to click on this, but we have an expiring flash flood warning in Arizona, mainly for Mojave, Arizona. Here's an update on the Goodland severe thunderstorm warning. We still have a considerable 70 mile an hour gusts and tennis ball size hail for Sherman County, Nebraska. Kansas. Kansas. These two cells, they may look pretty dangerous, and they are dangerous, especially this one here, Goodland. Actually, it does look like the outflow boundary is somewhere right here, and it does look like this hook. It looks like this hook is trying to catch up with the outflow boundary. So if the hook can stay a hook, and the storm can stay pretty well good, if we could say pretty good, if we could say healthy and healthier, and if this hook does push out in front of the outflow boundary, then it would be possible to put down a tornado. It would be more possible. It's not like it's impossible right now, but it's pretty much near zero, since the outflow boundary is going to be making this a windy event. But if this circulation can push out the outflow, can push out in front of the outflow boundary, like I'm showing in the blue, then it would be it would be definitely more possible, especially if it's a hook in a well-built storm. Yeah, you can just see it's still trying. It's still trying. We're up to here now, and here's the outflow boundary. So we're getting there. I mean, the storm's getting there. I mean, you can let's say like in blue, like this is the outflow boundary, and in black, this is realistically where that hook is. So now we're getting there. It's on the doorstep. It's on the doorstep. Sorry, parents are here. All right, I'm just gonna do not disturb. But this was a good test stream. Pretty good test stream. But that's it. Once again, that was a very short test. I just want to test the thing. I didn't really want to go deep in the coverage. But this should remain, at least right now, and it should just remain wind dominant. I will not be surprised if this hook does go out of the outflow boundary. I will not be surprised if there is a tornado warning. Also, I do plan on making actually this is where you can get these warnings and also watch radar. The Discord server is public. So I will give you that information of where you can see the warnings yourself and whatnot. Look at radar for free. So yeah. That's going to be it for me. I'm just going to make this look pretty again. You can also, if you smooth it out, if you have radar Omega, and if you smooth it out by 1, there's a bit of a smooth counter, or a smooth bar. If you smoothen the radar out by just one thing, you can see the outflow boundary better. You can actually see the hook better. It's right where this dark green is, so it's getting there, but it's not there yet. But it's getting there. And it certainly is trying again. This one is going to try as well. But the thing is, this one, it could, but it's near zero. But if this thing speeds up out in front of the outflow boundary,